Hello and welcome to NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas, and today I am joined by Brian Altano.
Hi.
Per Schneider.
Hello.
And Tom Marks.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about the very, very huge Smash 4.0 update, which comes with a new character, a Switch Mini going on sale for pre-order, the Game Boy's 30th anniversary, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's kick it off with the big topic, which is Smash Brothers. Oh, and Per is going to talk about Fire Emblem later, so definitely stick around for that. But first, Smash Bros. Have you guys gotten to play the new hero?
No, I'm afraid.
Just very
You're
little.
afraid?
Yeah.
Played with the kids, messed around with the character, impressed by the variety of obviously the designs for the character, and I've played the Dragon Quest games, so I do like that, and with how different the character feels. Because
It's
so
different.
So I saw a dude with a sword like everybody else at first, and thought,
too.
okay, this is gonna feel like Marth and everybody, and it doesn't. Like it's
That's good to
very,
hear.
very different feeling character.
He's kind of ridiculous. So all of his, I call him, but it's the hero from Dragon Quest,
Yes.
and there are multiple models for
Them.
different Dragon Quest games. But their B special attacks all take up NP, which is a stat exclusive to this character. And so, the longer you hold the B button, the stronger they become. And like in Dragon Quest, they can become different versions of like the same element. So if you're familiar with Fire Family, there's like Fire Agua and like different versions. I can't pronounce that word, but Thundara and Thunder.
That sounded close.
And
Viagra?
But with an F. There you go. You got it. No. But so it does that in the game. So for example, your side B move with the hero will, if you just tap B, it'll just be a small like thunder spark, where if you hold it a medium amount, it'll shoot a thunder spark forward, and if you hold it, it shoots a thunder bolt down, kind of similar to Pikachu's, but a lot faster and more difficult to hit people with, and then a very huge AoE around you, but that takes up more MP. And if you run out of MP and find yourself off the side of a map, you can't use your up B to use your wind attack, like swoosh, to get back on the map. So, and then I haven't even gotten into the down B.
Down B is madness.
It's complete madness.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah? You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a can of worms we're opening up.
Oh, is this like the Casey 15-minute explanation of the wonders of down B attacks?
No, this I'm excited for this. This is a lot of words.
Hold on, I'm gonna set
You're gonna time it?
stop.
So when you press down B while using the hero, you get a selection of 4 random attacks that kind of looks like a menu from Dragon Quest, where you can choose the attack you want to use. But there are 18 different attacks that can be, and they may not even be attacks. They can be a buff or some other effect, like Bang / Kaboom, which is a bolt of light that explodes on impact. Sizzle, which is a fire spell that unleashes a quick flash. Thwack, which may instantly KO opponents. Kamikaze, which you kill yourself and then you deal a huge amount of damage to everyone around you. Magic Burst uses all of your MP for a large explosion. Snooze puts foes to sleep. Heal heals yourself but has limited uses. Oomps is a...
Oomps?
I don't...
Don't worry about it. Just don't think about it too hard.
Increases melee attack and launch, but slightly decreases defense. Acceleratle, that's what it said. I copied this from in the game.
Acceleratle.
Yeah, it's a Dragon Quest move, right? Okay. Acceleratle, speed and jump up, but launch resistance is slightly down. Bounce reflects incoming projectiles for a time, which is really useful when up against other heroes. Clang makes you invincible, but you cannot move. It turns you into a big metal statue. Zoom, you rise upwards, and while you do that, you're invincible. You can basically recover from anywhere with that move. Hocus Pocus triggers a random command or status effect. Flame Slash swings a sword with wreathed in flame. Crackle Slash is you swing a sword engulfed in ice, and then it freezes your opponent.
And that wasn't a stutter. It is called crackle slash.
Yes.
Okay.
Hatchet Man, you heave your sword for a critical hit. And there's Psych Up, which powers up your next attack, which I'm not sure if it compounds into the hero's ability to get critical hits. So 1 out of every 8 times on average, this hero can get a critical hit with a smash attack, which does a ton of damage.
So thank you.
I'm sorry that was so much, but
Thank you.
This is why I play as Mario.
But
it's insane.
Yeah.
But like how I mean, the fact that they add a character again that's this different to what's on the roster, and just thinking about like, how is it possible to balance this? And is it balanced?
don't
We'll
think it
see, right? Like, we'll see people play obviously, and then they make adjustments and tweaks, and like in 10 years, this character will be perfectly balanced with everything else. But like, how? This is crazy.
Especially with one of the moves that thwack can give you one-hit KOs. I mean, it's not that hard to do. I did it yesterday, the second time I played the character, and my opponent, I think, had about 30% damage. There is a chance for it not to work.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it not work.
Thwack won't. It's more likely to instant KO the higher percentage damage they are, but there is still a chance that it will instant KO even at 0%. If you randomly get it out of these 18 for the 4 that you get when you do down B. So like the thing that's going to be really interesting to see play out in this character is that randomness, because the critical hits is one thing where it's like already in a standard fighting game, if you were like, oh yeah, once every 8 times or so, this character will just deal more damage just randomly. Even that, like in a serious fighting game, would make people go like, that's weird. And then you're like, oh, and also they have a move where potentially they'll just get a one-hit KO on you, but only sometimes. Or if they don't do that, they'll just kill themselves is another one that they can use.
It's
like, it's really weird.
It's madness.
But it's like that randomness that, you know, a lot of players don't like items and turn them off because of that randomness. Does this reintroduce randomness that you can't turn off?
It's for people who are playing with competitive rule sets who want items on anyway. This character.
Basically.
But
So me.
Yeah.
But people, I know I've seen some Discord in the competitive Smash community saying this is not a good character for competitiveness and balance because there's no way to balance a character with so much RNG included. And one of the things I saw was kind of funny. It's like, oh, like if you lose as the hero, you can blame bad luck. And if you lose against the hero, you can blame bad luck as well.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So this character is legal for tournament play.
So it's legal. I know for a fact it will be legal at the Smash Con. Yeah, Super Smash Con. But I'm not sure if it will be legal at EVO yet. As of the time of this recording, like that news has not been. There's no official announcements about it.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not legal at EVO, just not having anything to do with what the character can do. Just a lot of the times, big tournaments will say, okay, this is too fresh.
Right.
People haven't figured this out yet. Let's just like let it cool off and give people a chance to learn how to play against it as well as how to play it.
There were already petitions out to ban the character before it was released, and then subsequently petitions to unban the character in response to the presumed banning that would happen all before the character would come out.
Cool.
I think they're all tongue-in-cheek and not totally,
Okay.
totally
That's
honest.
good.
But
That's good.
Thought crime.
yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened yet, but let's arrest him.
I know before Bayonetta was released, when some of her details were revealed, some competitive players predicted her to be the best in the roster, and she ended up being the best in the roster for that time. And they're doing the same thing with the Dragon Quest hero.
Cool.
So we'll see. But I really like playing with him. He's really fun, and like I like the randomness and chaos, and having to manage your MP makes him. I thought he was super OP, but managing the MP kind of helps balance that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I respect the hell out of the competitive scene. It would be cool to see like just the tiniest bit of randomness in there, because I watched a ton of like Summer Games Done Quick stuff, and a lot of like speed runs that players will do through like 2D platformers and stuff like that have RNG, or specifically having a moment where you have to glitch through the floor, and there's like a 1 in 4 chance that it'll work, but if you do, like you'll shave 2 minutes off your run. Obviously, when you're competing against yourself or other people doing speed runs, it works for something like that. Less so in a tournament setting when you're trying to win money, like that's almost gambling with yourself. But I do like the idea of that. So I don't know. Get crazy.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
I do.
For my amusement.
Similarly, I like that they include levels that are not just only Final Destination in a lot of those tournaments. They have levels sometimes that have platforms coming in and out, like I can't remember the name of which one it is, but the Animal Crossing level that has kind of like not crazy moving level stuff, but like just a few platforms kind of shaking it up, and then you have to. It does add a level of skill, that randomness, to how can you adapt to things like that.
The Dragon Quest level does that as well. It starts out as kind of like a Final Destination, but it adds in like Battlefield like platforms, and it kind of changes as that progresses as well. And it's a really pretty cool background.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I think there were 8 tunes, right? 8 new tunes for Dragon Quest as well. It's a great package. I mean, I feel like this is really solid DLC that we're getting for Smash because the characters are all so different and they're all beloved franchises that I didn't think we'd be seeing in Smash Brothers. Like a lot of titles where I'm like, this is cool.
Who's left now? There's 2.
Banjo.
There's 3 coming. There's 2 we don't know about.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we know about Banjo-Kazooie, and
Yes.
that's later this year.
They said fall. Yeah.
Fall, yeah.
Yeah.
But 2 are still big question marks right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we originally assumed they would announce another character at EVO because Smash Brothers Ultimate is headlining, but since like the hero just came out, I don't think the probability of that is very high anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Cheer for our own IGN player. Emeka is going to
Really?
Evo. He's going to try and
No
compete
way, that
in
rules.
Smash. Yeah, we've got 3
was just
people
playing with
going
him
to
today.
Evo to compete.
Hell yeah.
I think Tate
Is
and
Mitchell
Mitchell.
going too?
Mitchell is
Cool.
going, yeah. So we'll have some, maybe we'll have an
Preemptive
IGN or
blocks.
winning Smash.
That
That
rules.
would be nice.
When we were reviewing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I kind of said, I was like, hey, we need people to like test this out and like play it. Emeka was the first person in the door. He was like, I'm in.
He's
Let me
really
play.
good.
Let's go. Yeah, he's great.
That's awesome.
I still haven't done like a traditional one-on-one with him still. After all of this
Well,
time.
he'll bring his giant freaky
No, we have-
controller.
I know.
and- yeah.
He uses a stick, like a fight stick,
Yeah.
to play Smash, which I've never seen before. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sheltered. I'm not
We
sure.
should bring him on. He can show off his crazy
yeah,
fight
we'll,
stick.
we'll bring him on.
I was supposed to shoot. It was one of those things where him and I were supposed to shoot like a video about it, and then all this stuff kept popping up, and I think we just like kicked it down the road and then forgot about it. But he has this custom, like it's sort of just like a deck because it's huge.
Bunch of buttons.
Yeah, it's like gigantic, and it's not like pretty. You know, like it's functional, but it looks like it was made like for a specific purpose.
It's like the stuff that Rocky trains with when he goes
Yeah.
up against Ivan Drago. They got all the high-tech stuff, and he's got this thing made out of wood pieces.
I thought didn't he fight Steak?
What?
Steak?
Didn't
oh,
he-
yeah, he
yeah,
did.
he,
He
like,
punched
punched-
he punched cow
Yeah,
pieces.
he went to the butcher shop.
Yeah,
and
that's
cut-
right. Was it
Yeah,
against?
I think so. No, because there's a. This is stupid. I'm a big fan of action figures, and someone made an action figure of the steak.
Oh,
like,
okay.
of the cow,
Wow.
the cow corpse that he
Has
punches.
a lot of
Oh my goodness.
play value. Steak.
I know.
Yeah, that's
Bad
great.
to- it's a
Yeah,
bad
we
toy,
should
but it's a funny joke.
we should do a video on that controller. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
But
totally.
good luck to Emeka
Yep. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to Mitchell and to Tate,
Yeah, let's do it.
all competing at EVO, which is next week. It's very soon.
Yep.
It's the beginning of August. So, Pear, as a Dragon Quest fan, is this package everything you wanted? Do you think it plays?
I have to play more. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, my first reaction was, I mean, if you heard Casey talk about the moves, I was overwhelmed with the character, and I wasn't doing very well.
Right.
My kids kept taking me down.
I did all right because I got a thwack off, which was that one hit KO.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that it's not just another Fire Emblem Swords guy. That's what I thought it could turn into, and they've proven me wrong. So that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally agree.
good stuff.
And we're getting more than just the character and the stage and the music as well with update 4.0. You can now add snapshots into edited videos. So when you're editing a video to share on Nintendo Switch Online app, which I know everyone does all the time,
People love
you
that
can
app.
now add in snapshots to your videos. There's also some terrain changed in the stage builder. So some like the yarn and some of the other stuff will behave differently in the stages. This will retroactively affect old stages as well. And they added a very easy mode for World of Light.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like it's so late in the game. And didn't they already make it easier? No, they made it easier to collect characters. Not in World of Light, but in when you fight them to add them to your roster.
This is the accessibility play. I mean, Nintendo has done this for a while, right? Adding a super easy, hey, let me help you with that mode. And it's a take it or leave it setup. I think they're getting ready to bring on a lot of younger players this fall. They're releasing a cheaper version of the Switch. You've got Pokemon coming, and so they're thinking about like how do you engage a younger set of players who may be turned off by high difficulty or Maybe it's some people playing their first game in this franchise because they've only played Pokemon games like that. Not like
weird.
Pokemon is particularly easy or anything.
No. I mean, I think like it falls into the sort of category of a lot of Nintendo stuff where it scales really well.
Yeah.
But I didn't particularly think that World of Light was difficult. I thought it had like very random, arbitrary spikes of incredibly frustrating stages. I believe it was like the Daisy one specifically. There was one where you're fighting on like a retro Donkey Kong level.
Pauline.
And the only way I could do it is to like convince everyone to commit suicide. There was like 5 characters had to
Did
kill
you tell them
themselves.
jokes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did.
Like, here, watch up at Noom. They're like, no.
They're like, no, I got to kill myself. Anything's better than that. Yeah, and that was so. I don't know how you fix something like that. Maybe me too. We're bringing it back soon. But yeah, that's good to see because I think for every new update Smash gets, that's a nudge for someone who doesn't own the game to buy it for the first time.
Yep.
And so yeah.
They may also be responding to like companies collect data on how you play games, and like if people get stuck in a certain spot, sometimes companies like smooth over the edges, and so maybe they got a lot of data that shows people abandoning the mode at certain places. Who knows, right?
And Sakurai even said in that video that they put out about this, that
Watch it. It's great.
it's really fun. It's very casual Sakurai, which is cool to see. And he even said, like, if there's, a hard spirit you're just, like, stuck on, you can just bump it down and take it out that way. And it's like,
That's
I
cool.
like that they know that that's kind of part of the purpose of it is to, you come up against, I think the 2 that everyone brings up always are Pauline and Dr. Wily as, like, 2 of the hardest
Dr. Wily
spirits.
was really hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you just, like, can't beat one of those guys, you just, like, tune it down and you're fine.
And it's also it's a single player game, so it's
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
I don't think it's not like there's a competitive scene in World of
No,
Light.
you must suffer.
Yeah.
You have to put it on hard or you're not a real Smash fan.
Speaking of which, I read that there's like a freebie for Nintendo Switch Online members with the new Smash Brothers update, where you can jump into the spirit mode and get a bunch of like free stickers and badges and fun stuff
cool.
like weird snacks to feed your peoples, give them powers, all that stuff.
Delicious.
So go check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And there was one more addition, an online tournament mode, which sounds really awesome when I say it like that, but it's not really great because it is a 4 versus 4 free-for-all preset, and that's how you do the tournament. And if anyone has ever done a Smash tournament, it's not how you do it. You do it 1v1, 3 or 4 stock.
Yeah.
Though
Like-
they did say that they would be adding new tournament things and
It'll
events
change
in the future.
It,
and
it will
they'd be
change in the
tweaking
future.
it.
Yeah, and that's true. But right now, it's just 4v4 free-for-alls.
I agree. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm so glad they're doing this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad this exists. And I hope that they make it, that they tweak it in ways that people, because the four-player free-for-all is very appealing to a specific Smash audience, and the tournament is very specific or appealing to a different specific Smash audience. And I feel like they need to just like align those things a little bit.
And I guess it depends if it's stock or time. But if it's stock, the game and free-for-all is just don't die.
Right.
Stay away from people the longest.
Yeah. That's what I love to do. That's why I'm good at that game.
Yeah.
By the way, this is my first time in the studio.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
welcome.
it's nice.
I've been traveling so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. You got
You got our best friend Sonic.
you got some characters behind you there. You got
Skyrim. That's on the Switch.
a little Mass Effect there. That
We
was
went-
on the
we-
Wii U.
We went from being in our old studio to being in no studio at all to being in the small studio to being in like the coolest studio we've ever shot the show in. So
Yeah, that's fun.
yeah,
Awesome.
thanks for sticking with us. And if you're listening, imagine it.
It's cool.
It's really cool.
You can see our faces.
Yeah, check us out on YouTube
Which
and
aren't
IGN.
cool, but they exist. So- and man, I had no idea the Game Boy was as old, but it's the 30th anniversary for the Game Boy.
That's right.
It is
Today, this week.
this week.
Yeah.
So Casey was 2 years old. No.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I listened to
the
last.
Game Boy is older than me.
I listened to last week's
Oh, yeah.
episode, and you definitely confused people
Oh,
with
I
your strange
super
dates.
confused, Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
I said I was in the 6th grade in 2012. I meant 2002.
I saw that. I'm
Whoops.
like, wait a second, that can't be.
I really hope we just bring this up every episode now.
Yes. Okay.
It's fine.
But yeah, obviously that's a very old gaming device.
Yeah. Yeah, a very awesome one too. It's a really special system to me.
Did everyone here have a Game Boy?
No, I did not have the original Game Boy.
What?
I didn't
I
either.
did not.
Get out.
I was too busy doing other stuff.
What were you doing?
I was in Japan.
Oh, you were like in college by then, right?
I don't have to do the math. 30 years. Oh,
I was-
You were in
Christ's
sixth
sakes.
grade.
No, I was no. I just I moved to Japan, went to college, and I focused on studying until my now wife gave me a Super Famicom for my birthday, and then everything was over. I stopped studying, just played games all day.
You were in Japan when the Game Boy came out?
No, it came out right before, I think.
Right before.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I was just wondering what that scene was like there, because I know that here in America, the Game Boy,
It came out in 1989.
yeah, and it sort of transcended what I understood video games to be, because first of all, video games were something that me and my friends did in our parents' houses,
Yeah.
in living rooms and dens and basements, and I never thought adults cared about them at all. And then I remember going on airplanes to go visit like family in Italy and stuff like that, and go on trips with my family, and there were like adult businessmen in business suits playing Tetris. Like
Yeah.
this was it is hard to understate how incredible that was to see all of that dragged out into the sunshine for the very first time. It's a really special system to me. I got one. I've told this story a bunch of times in the show, but I got one for Christmas that year. It was like the only thing I wanted for Christmas, and we were like kind of low on money that year. My family wasn't doing too great, and we opened up all our presents, and there was nothing there. And then my mom was like, "Hey, don't forget your stocking." And there were like 3 stockings. I have 2 brothers, and they had the candy cane sticking out, and mine just had this fat cube in the middle of it, like this big giant box. And I was like, "What is?" It looked like a snake ate a brick.
Yeah.
And I ran up and I pulled it out, and it was the original Game Boy with like the holographic laser wireframe fingers and the Tetris logo in the corner. I started screaming, crying, running around, so happy.
Aw.
Yeah, Nintendo 64. And it's like it's been like I've really loved Nintendo handhelds ever since. I had Game & Watches like once or twice before then. My grandmother would come by and be like, "Here's a Game & Watch," and I'd be like, "I don't know what this is," like be like manhole or something. But the Game Boy was special. Yeah, the Game Boy was special because it was the first Nintendo handheld, like a dedicated portable that had swappable carts. It had like a really interesting launch lineup because for the first time ever, we had a portable Super Mario Brothers in Super Mario Land, which is a weird ass game. The Koopas, when you jump on them in that game, explode. They turn into bombs. Mario shoots a fireball that like ricochets like a pinball. If you played Mario Maker 2, maybe you unlocked it. There was also Tetris, obviously one of the most incredible, influential video games of all time. And then there was Alleyway, which was not, but still fun. Which also featured Mario as like he was like story-wise, he was a little guy inside of a ship that bounced a ball, and it was just Breakout. And then there was tennis and baseball. And that's what we got here in North America. And it was like $89, and it came with a game, and it was a like amazing deal. And for the first time ever, you could play video games on the school bus.
Yeah, so the weird thing is that when I was in Japan, I don't have any recollection of seeing a lot of people on trains. Like, I was in Japan from like, what was it, like 1990 to 94, I think, like give or take a year. I don't recall seeing a lot of people on subways playing the Game Boy, and obviously it had been out for a little bit. Whereas like when I went later, the DS was everywhere.
Right.
Like the DS really took over as being like this mainstream device that people just brought along and played everywhere. I wonder if the Game Boy was still a little bit too big
Possibly,
for that
yeah.
to be like something that, businessmen, people on trains
Game Boy
played.
Pocket and the Game Boy Color, which were much smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I jumped in. I got like with Game Boy Color is when I started seriously playing, and then Neo Geo Pocket Color, I own a Wonder Swan, all that stuff too.
Yeah, the concept of the Game Boy being a portable was really funny when I was a child because like it was huge.
Yeah.
It's like a thick book, like a brick.
Yeah.
And so I would keep it in the front flap of my backpack, and it took 4 AA batteries. The graphics were like they were like great. It was like great pixel art, but the screen quality wasn't great. It was like puke green.
Green and washed out.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was blurry when things
Yeah.
moved too fast. But like as a kid that loved the NES, the amount of like sort of demakes that we got on the NES that were based on arcade ports was really interesting. If you take a game like Double Dragon or Contra in the arcade and you see it on the NES, and it's like running and it's like in 56 colors and it's chunky pixel art. they took that to the Game Boy and they shrunk it down even more. And so we got all these awesome, like, sort of demake versions of NES games that were arcade games. And watching that sort of filter down, it got me really into handheld gaming. And it was like, it was a place where we could play Mario, and they got, it got an exclusive Metroid game. It got Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. It got Donkey Kong 94, which is like one of the best video games ever made. And like no one talks about it. It also got Donkey Kong Land, like Rare was making, like 3D rendered games for it. They got a Killer Instinct. Like, there's a bunch of weird games that came to the Game Boy that like should not have worked, but I think people were just sort of like, let's make it happen. Let's squish it down and put it there, which we're seeing with Switch now too.
Yeah, it seems unbelievable that brand is completely gone, right?
Yeah.
Like I've heard people talk about like Game Boy sounds too young, but obviously the Walkman is also gone, right?
Yeah.
Like, the handheld games are still around in phone form, Switch, obviously, Vita and PSP for the longest time and all that. But that the Game Boy brand is gone just seems so wrong to me.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever stopped calling my DS or 3DS a Game Boy.
A Game Boy?
Really?
Yeah.
You call them a Game Boy?
I mean,
Game Boy, like to me, Game Boy just became Nintendo handheld. Like, and that's kind of changed now with the Switch, because the Switch is so much more and it's this weird different thing. But like, I'd always called my DS my Game Boy.
So I was one of those incredibly pretentious teenagers that when my parents or some older someone would call a DS my Game Boy, I'd be like, no, it's the DS.
Yeah.
Well, there was
Call
like,
it a
it was
game.
like the 80s and 90s, everybody just called everything a Nintendo
Yeah.
for a long time. To sort of run through the lineage real quick, we got the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Light, which was, I believe, backlit
Yep.
or frontlit, I forget.
It's the little side lights.
Yeah, it had these, it looked like when they put on the lights on the floor of a movie theater.
Like,
Oh man,
It's
I
not-
had the little worm thing.
Yeah, the worm
worm
light.
light.
Yeah.
yeah, I had that.
That
too.
was a great.
The Virtual Boy, which carried the Boy moniker to its grave.
Yeah, it's not the
and then
same.
the Game Boy Advance, which was arguably, one of the best handhelds they
So
ever made.
good.
The Game Boy Advance SP, and then the Game Boy Micro. And with the Game Boy Micro, that killed that titling forever. After that, we got the Nintendo DS, and then the 2DS, 3DS, 3DS XL, 4DS, all that stuff.
And the Game Boy Micro famously tried to retain that Game Boy brand, make it smaller, but it was way too expensive. Like it's, I own like 3, and they're great. I really like them.
Me too.
And they can't be much smaller because the cartridge is so big. And like, but it's just kind of it's weird that they weren't able to figure out how to make this machine really cheap, and then spin kind of Game Boy into the super cheap like $20 brand where you pick one up at the cash register on the way out and you can play all these games on it.
I mean, I get why they don't use that name anymore. It's like archaic, it's gendered,
It'll be
doesn't
back
make
for
any
the
sense
classic.
for like an all ages thing.
The Game Boy as a brand was so prolific that I never even thought about the two words together. I just thought about Game Boy as the brand. I never thought about it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was a like Valiant Comics did an entire comic book line called Game Boy.
Yeah.
where it was just hand drawn comic books about like Super Mario Land and stuff like that. Like it's such a cool cool thing.
Do you think if they did, look, it's not if, when they do the Game Boy Classic, it's crazy they didn't do this for the 30th anniversary. Do you think they would release a full-size replica that looks exactly the same? And would people think that's cool? Or does it have to play to convenience and be a smaller version?
I want the Game Boy Advance SP, but in a tighter, just better package.
My prediction is they use the exact sort of shape and design and form factor of the original, but they shrink it down to like the Game Boy Pocket size. So it is smaller.
But green screen, all of that, like same exact
I
look?
think they would go with a black and white screen that had like a green tint when it's off. So my heart skipped a beat this morning when Nintendo. I like woke up. I was like exhausted. I rolled out of bed. I looked at my phone, and Nintendo of America tweeted about the 30th anniversary of the Nintendo Game Boy, and they put up this gorgeous product shot of like it was like a high res. It was like they definitely clearly got a professional photographer to take a brand new photo of an original Game Boy in mint
like
condition.
not yellow.
Yeah, and it's just like, there was like this new logo that was like 30th anniversary, and I was like,
Look at this.
we're getting a Game Boy Classic. They're doing it, and then they're just like, happy birthday, and I was like, oh, this was the time. But I'm still holding out hope for the rest of the year. I think that there's an opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What was everyone's favorite Game Boy game?
Gee, I don't know.
Game
I
Boy,
never
not
talk
Game
about
Boy
it on this
Advance.
show.
Yeah, I wonder what Brian would like.
Link's Awakening for sure. Yeah, which is interesting.
I'm sorry I asked.
No, because like, it was to piggyback. Sorry, I'll talk about this stupid game for 10 more seconds.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of like what I was saying earlier, like Link's Awakening began as a attempted port of A Link to the Past from Super Nintendo onto the Game Boy, and I think they just decided to make a brand new game instead. And so we got that, and it's coming September 20th, same day as the Switch Lite.
Yep.
This year.
Yeah, as I said, I got into it with a Game Boy Color, and so Pokemon Yellow, I will always hold that game dear.
Same. Mine was Pokemon Red. That was the first game I got with a Game Boy Color, and the only one I had for a very long time.
I think
Oh
probably.
yeah, we didn't mention Pokemon. Been talking about the Game Boy for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
I did it, Brian. I got you.
Thank you. Excellent work.
As weird and dumb as this is, I'd probably like the Game Boy cartridge that I remember most is
This is gonna be weird. What?
Pokemon Gold.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Because it was gold, and I was like, "Yeah, like, this is great."
The Donkey Kong Land games were yellow. They were like,
Yeah,
Bright
Donkey Kong
banana
Country
yellow. Yeah.
was a good Game Boy game.
yeah, it really was. Donkey Kong Country, I believe, was a green cart. Yeah, they got. I think like the shape of those carts is just like it's so appealing to me. It's such a cool
I
thing.
have a Pokemon Red soap bar shaped like the cartridge.
Really?
Yeah, I never took it. They actually put it in those little cases that you would have cartridges in.
Oh,
I've never taken it out.
you're like
because I'm
afraid to use it?
Yeah.
because it looks too cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't blame you.
The Game Boy Advance, there's like not much more satisfying in the world of like cartridges than the way the Game Boy Advance, you kind of get your thumb on that little cartridge.
Oh, I
remember the
know.
little ledge they
Got the
have?
little lip.
And then you pop it and it just has that like little sound. Oh man,
Yep.
that was satisfying.
Well, thank you for reminiscing with us about the Game Boy for its
bring it
30th
back.
anniversary. Hopefully, we get a classic edition sometime this year. Christmas, holiday. They wouldn't compete with their Switch Lite.
I don't think
Pokemon,
they'll do
right?
it this year.
Maybe
I
next
think they
year.
should release the Game Boy Lite at Mini at the same time, the same day that they release the Switch Lite,
Not gonna happen.
and just confuse everybody in the world.
No, that's why we're
When-
not gonna see a handheld when they're pushing their new handheld.
Wait a minute. Hold on though. When did they launch? Did the NES or SNES Classic go up against the Switch? I feel like one of those
I don't know.
launched within a few months. I remember like having conversations being like, they would
Yeah.
never do that.
No, but didn't the NES Classic launch right before the holidays, and then the Switch was in February or March or whatever?
Oh,
it
that's
was?
right. That was
So
you're
it was
totally
like, there
right.
was probably like 5, 6, or
Yep.
4 months around there.
Totally
Bit of a
right.
gap.
Speaking of the
Corrected.
Switch Lite,
Yeah, and the Switch Mini. The
Casey Way.
Who pre-ordered one?
The Switch Lite is now available for pre-order. So, and did any of you guys pre-order one?
Yes,
I did.
Yeah. Why do you sound dejected about
Because
that?
we have
don't know why.
Switches.
Yeah, I don't need it. I don't need it. Well, here's the worst thing. Here's the worst thing. They announced that like fake Switch Pro.
Yeah.
It has like 9 hours of battery, right?
I know.
And it's going to be sort of like it's going to have like a product number, and it's going to be like NS0103, and you won't know that.
Enterprise Edition.
Yeah, unless you're holding the box in the store, like maybe there'll be like a specific listing on Amazon or something like that, and they haven't announced when that's going to happen. So at some point, people who buy the regular Switch in the next week and a half or 2 weeks or something like that will get a buffed up battery version of the original Switch.
So I want that one too.
I want that one too.
But you know what I'm gonna do?
What?
In Japan, Nintendo is releasing the weird Disney Edition Switch and the Dragon Quest Edition Switch, and they have
Dragon Quest Edition.
custom Joy-Con colors.
I saw the Disney
Disney
one
one?
with the.
So maybe if you buy
It's beautiful, yeah, it's
Maybe
got
if
the
you
Mickey
buy
Mouse on the home
this, you get the new hardware as well as the really limited controllers.
Oh,
But you have to pay a lot of money for this thing, which arguably is doing the same thing as the one that we already have, and then the one we just pre-ordered.
it's also like
So it's kind of stupid to do that, Brian.
This is all very stupid to do, Pear. This is the first worldiest problem for me to be like, I have a battery pack that extends my Switch battery life times 4,
Okay.
and I'm like, not good enough. What if it just lived on its own for 9 hours?
However,
Like,
Brian,
what?
the Disney Edition, the home button has Mickey Mouse ears.
You fell into the trap of having to buy all these Joy-Cons. I didn't.
I don't have to.
This
I
doesn't
can
do
stop
anything for me.
anytime.
I don't believe you, Pear.
No, I got out of the Amiibo game. I'm not into the. I'm not hooked on the Joy-Cons.
I could
like you
stop
are.
anytime with the Amiibo too.
You can't and you won't.
I only have 173.
I was
Thank you for counting that. Oh, beautiful.
I won't
stranger
actually
on
do this to
Twitter.
you, but I will tell you. I will tell you a story. I was actually workshopping a joke with Max earlier about what a thing to do to you on 4th of July.
Not again.
No, April 1st, not 4th of July. That'd be
Spray
funny
paint
too.
them all blue, red,
No,
and white.
every now and then Best Buy or Target has one of those like clearance sales where they get rid of a bunch of like D-level Animal Crossing amiibo, like Lottie, and they're like 4 cents.
llama.
Yeah, the llama. And I wanted to order like 100 of them, and then redo your wall of amiibo. So you just come in one day and there's just like 100
Why are
llamas.
you telling me
That's a
this?
lot of effort.
Because I'm not gonna do it. It's so much work.
They're not going to be 4 cents.
Yeah.
And they'll be like 2 per customer limit.
Yeah,
No,
and then
you'll
we're stuck
wait-
with them.
You'll wait until like $2 each,
That's
and
true.
then you make content out of it and you expense them.
Exactly.
Look, I mean,
I just wanted to get a
all
video
I'm
of you
doing-
walking and be like, "What the hell?"
All
They
I'm
all
doing
took
is
them all.
investing for my kids' future. They'll be able to sell these $16 now amiibo in like 30 years for $18 each.
Yeah,
Oh.
some.
Maybe 50.
Yeah, right alongside my Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You know, Amazon every now and then, because I bought a bunch from Amazon, I'll
Mm-hmm.
go to buy something from Amazon and they're like, hey, you can knock down the price of this by trading in some old stuff. And I'm like, huh, like what? And I click on it and they're like the Pac-Man amiibo, we'll give you 40 cents for him. And I'm like, ooh,
Wow.
this is a bad stock market.
No,
out
this
here.
is not this is not a great investment. But yeah, I pre-ordered the yellow. Which one did you?
Gray, because I'm boring and stupid.
Why
I don't,
did you get the green?
I don't know. I don't know.
Cancel.
Should I?
Why didn't you get the weird Pokemon one with
Get the turquoise one.
purple-
Because I don't like pictures of those dudes in the back of my system. I don't even know those dudes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good point.
You
could just-
Dashian and Zamazenta, man.
Who?
Z and Z.
That sounds like medicine.
It's like
You know what you do is you buy those to get the special cool Joy or get that and
not even Joy-Cons. They don't have
They're no
Joy-Cons
Joy-Con.
anymore.
No,
They're
but
all
sorry,
glued
and I was
in.
gonna say you just get a sticker and you just put it on the back.
That's true.
No, I hear you. I
that's
just
just
didn't like most people like the Pokemon edition. I assume you like that one too? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it would have been between. I like that one a lot actually. I
The
would've-
yellow
would've
is
bought-
great.
Did I switch to blue?
Oh, look, man. Now
Did
we
I-
got
did I-
him.
No, we
Yeah,
shouldn't
why would you
feel
get
bad
another
in this.
gray one? The main one is gray.
I think
I
the
don't
gray one is
know.
cool. No. 'Cause
I don't need one at all, Pear.
I like the gray one because it has the light buttons and the light joysticks, and the
Okay.
base gray on the Switch, the normal Switch has black joysticks and black buttons.
Wow.
So it's
that's-
it is a little different.
And
That's
you can,
true.
You can get a decal or something and like put on the back, and it's
He
gray
doesn't like
with
decals.
everything,
Don't
right?
put a bumper sticker.
he doesn't
on
like
it, Bentley.
decals.
I don't even have tattoos.
He's a purist. All right. Well, once they arrive, we'll compare my yellow with your gray, and we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Unless you get the turquoise, you just get both.
I think I might get that. I don't need either.
Both. You have a daughter. You'll pass along this stuff to her.
That's true. That excuse works when she's not.
She'll
one.
love a gray controller.
Yeah, babies love
Love instead of
$200 useless
turquoise
gray
and
control
yellow.
that I don't
Okay,
need.
very good.
No, but so like the other thing I was thinking about, this comes out the same day as Link's Awakening, which means that like my choice that day is to either dive into the remake of my literal favorite game of all time or start a massive sort of like system transfer, whatever Pikmin carrying file data nonsense they're going to be doing to us.
Hey, so if you have Nintendo Switch Online
I
and
do.
you just log into your new console, you can deactivate your old console as your primary and activate the new one as your primary, and then just download everything with the cloud.
Some
But
game,
what's the Nintendo catch?
some gameplay saves not
You have
included.
to have- yeah.
Games like Splatoon will not transfer data.
That
Oh, and Animal Crossing either, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's going to be tough for me.
use with caution.
you'll be able to do a full system transfer for that though,
Oh, really?
right?
Oh,
It's
I
just
see.
no
yeah,
cloud
yeah, yeah. Okay,
saves.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the cloud
Yeah.
saves. You can.
And then the other catch of it is that you can't be using, if both systems are online, you can't be using one of them with that account at the same time as the other.
Well, that's okay.
Right.
But you can just put
You mostly
one of them
want-
in airplane mode.
You want the light for travel, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting it for
Yeah.
too. I mostly want the longer battery life, but then I saw yellow. I'm like,
What a,
Look at
this
that.
is so. Why is this so difficult?
What a
We don't need any of it, but I
beautiful
want all of
machine.
it. What's wrong with us?
So we had we put up an article on IGN.com for pre-orders, and based on, I guess, the links that our audience clicked and the pre-orders that they then subsequently made, here are the most popular colors based on that. 12% of our readers picked yellow.
Oh wow, that's the worst one, Pear.
that is the least amount of people. Just in case you're not tracking this,
I like the yellow one too.
I like it too.
16% chose gray.
That's the boring people of which Brian is part of.
That's not. That's a good number.
18% chose turquoise.
Clearly a better choice than gray.
Should I go with them?
I would do a color.
Should I go join Team Turquoise?
Yeah, but I
Team
think it's sold out now.
which house?
To peer
Okay, keep
pressure.
going. What's the biggest
Pear
one?
pressure.
54% chose the Pokemon Special Edition.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Which,
can name those things.
let's be honest, if you do want to resell your stuff, the special editions will always cost more in the end when you
Yeah.
sell them, for sure. But if you got like Dorito stains on it, then it's not going to be.
I mean,
Why-
half of that 54% could just be scalpers.
That's true.
That is.
Why is there no Zelda version? This launches day and date with the new Zelda game,
Because they're
Maybe.
freaking dumb.
right? Thank you.
Because
I
it's
don't-
all
I don't
about
really mean that,
Pokemon
but-
and.
So on that note, is there any chance, do you think, that they would announce one in between now and
No.
Zelda?
No, that's too much of it. This is a lot of versions to have at launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's retailers don't love that. They don't want somebody to come in and say, "I want the yellow one," and they're like, "No, here's the boring gray edition."
And the
Maybe
Pokemon
that
one-
old man over there will sell you his because he made a mistake and wanted the turquoise one. He just didn't know.
Also, there's going to be a bunch more colors in 2020. Hey, what? I heard that.
Well, that's part of it. Is that
Maybe the guy that
Pokemon
bought the
one-
yellow one.
To that point, the Pokemon one doesn't even come out until like a month or two later.
Oh, right.
there will be a ton of different editions. If this one sells, they'll keep on iterating on it for sure.
true.
Yeah. There may be a Zelda one for Breath of the Wild 2.
That's so far away.
Tom, are you going to get one?
I don't know yet. I have not decided, because I said this on the show like a week or two ago that when it first was announced, I was like all in, definitely. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, I could just get an extra set of, I could buy a normal Switch and I would be getting an extra set of Joy-Con, which are usually $80. And then I'm basically just getting a Switch that is slightly larger with way better battery life and can
Bigger screen.
dock. And it's only like $20 more than a Switch Lite when you think about it that way in like my weird brain. But then at the same time, it's still $100 extra. And like, do I need another set of Joy-Con? Could I just get this other thing? It's really pretty. Like, you really got to hand it to them. This, regardless of the color, they're all real cute.
They really
real
are.
nice.
Yeah.
And
I think
I'm
it's-
excited to get my hands on it.
I want to
Yeah.
see the games on the smaller screen. Like smaller screens always look sharper and nicer. It's
Yeah.
just a fact, right?
I think
curious.
that's why I'm at that point where I need to see it first. I'm not. I would like a second Switch in some regard. I said because then me and my girlfriend can play like Animal Crossing together and that sort of thing. But I'm not in a rush. Animal Crossing doesn't come out till next year. Pokemon doesn't come out until November. So I'm not in a hurry. I'll let it come out, see what it's like, see if I like it, see if I want to go the other route first, and just kind of try to be a little bit not rush into things as much.
I think it's kind of crazy that they didn't have pre-orders available immediately when they announced this thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
I
They
think
did
there was like
in
a
the
lot
UK. For some reason, they
Oh,
weren't
really?
ready in the US. Yeah, it was really strange.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that like I would have pre-ordered one. I had to hesitate the other day, and I still did it because it doesn't cost. And on Amazon, it doesn't cost you anything until it
Yeah.
ships anyway.
Yep.
So you can still think about it, change your color
Yeah, you could.
by 2.
Could.
if you do.
Gray's not a color.
Gray is
gray is a
definitely a
color.
color.
Nah, shade.
This is shade. Is what you're throwing at me right now. That's what. That's
It's also an
only shade.
adjective to describe sad and lonely.
Yellow is the least popular one. So
Okay.
yeah, that's like you basically voted for Ralph Nader.
That argument,
Well,
Pear, you might as well just be like turquoise isn't color. It's a rock. Like
Yeah.
It is a beautiful semi-precious stone.
well, let us know
Pokemon's
what
not a
color,
color.
and what edition of the Switch Lite, the light switch below.
Says Casey, unfazed by this malarkey.
the Game Boy SP Switch Lite.
Yep.
In other news, EA has explained why it offers limited Nintendo Switch support. So this is a story that Pear pointed out to me. Why are you shaking your head?
Because it's annoying. Keep going.
So an analyst asked about the Sims for the Switch, and an EA head said, anytime we're evaluating platform conversations, we're really looking at a couple of things. One, does the game really fit the profile of the platform in terms of the control or the community ecosystem? Two, do we think the community playing on that platform would appreciate the game and go there, or would they prefer to play it somewhere else? We have a lot of data that would suggest a great many Switch owners who also own PS4 or Xbox One or PC very often choose to play the games that we make on those platforms, even though they have a Switch and enjoy a lot of great content there. So
This answer sucks.
Yeah.
It is a
basically-
terrible answer.
Basically, with The Sims, a lot of people who play The Sims prefer to play it on consoles that you can use mods with. So I think that's a very roundabout way of saying that, because you can't mod on a Switch.
But
Okay.
also, like if you
Also
look at
for other
the
reasons.
if you look at the support they have put there, then that means that they think that Nintendo fans really want FIFA. Which is like, okay, I get it, but also like Animal Crossing is one of the best-selling franchises of all time. I actually just casually on my Switch the other day typed The Sims because I was like, oh, surely there's a Sims game here. There was like 15 on the GBA,
Yeah.
and there's none.
Yeah. So
If I may, I don't think that this answer is an answer for any sort of game player, right? This is not an answer that is targeted towards you or me. This is an answer that is targeted towards EA's shareholders. And they're saying, essentially what this, in my eyes, what this answer is him saying, don't worry about it. We're making the smart financial decision rather than, hey, there's people who would play games on the Sim or play The Sims on Switch because The Sims would do great on Switch. People would love to
a
play
good
it.
version of The Sims would do great on Switch.
So isn't that the smart financial decision, though? I mean, we read
they're
constantly
saying-
about games selling well on
But
Switch.
what they're saying is that they did the math and they think more people
Fewer,
would buy it
less,
elsewhere.
more.
Yes, and fewer people would buy it on the Switch, and that it's just not worth investing in the ports. I think that's what reading between the lines you can pull from this. That's my own analysis. Though.
Here is the answer. And by the
enough.
way, I'm not like I think EA sometimes gets a bad rep for like the games they make. They make plenty of really great games. They are always they are being kind of cast as the big evil corporation. You know, puts microtransactions in a lot of games, iterates annually on Madden and FIFA and all of that. That is true. They know how to make money. I think they're a little bit of in a creative slump right now. I think it's fair to say. Here is what that answer kind of like dances around. EA made a huge mistake. They did not back the Switch at a time when they should have. That was prior to launch. They have all the reason to doubt the success of some of their kind of core franchises on Nintendo hardware, right? We've seen Activision's Call of Duty's not do well on Nintendo consoles. You know, Battlefield probably wouldn't have done well. I'm sorry, but Star Wars would have done well on the Switch.
Yeah, this is it, though. And I've talked about this on the show before. EA is absolutely terrible at celebrating their own history.
Yep.
They're terrible at looking at their back catalog and being like, let's grab Dead Space and drag and drop it on a Switch. We spent the last 3 years pissed at Konami because of the way they handled the Kojima situation, right?
Yep.
Just utterly livid at them. And then they put out that Metal Gear game that was super bad. But then recently they were like, here's the Contra collection, here's the Castlevania collection. And people were like, oh, goodwill. We're into this. Like, I'm so glad to see this again. If EA, with all of, you know, this shooting themselves in the foot that they do on a regular basis and all of the sort of backlash they get from, you know, hardcore gamers, if they said what Bethesda did just this week, where they're like, hey, we're taking a bunch of classic Doom games and we're putting on there, ideally without like a Bethesda.net login screen at the beginning. And they were like, here's Dead Space, here's Star Wars, here's all this legacy stuff, here's the Mass Effect trilogy. Like, just put it on Switch. People would love them for that, and they would sell incredibly well.
I think there's an opportunity for some last gen ports. Like obviously we're kind of getting tired of seeing them, but EA had a lot of good games during the 360 and PS3 age that could come across.
But they don't bring those things up anymore.
No, but more importantly, they bought PopCap.
Yeah.
And they own Plants vs. Zombies. Yep. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that would have been a great launch title for this platform.
Absolutely.
Whether Garden Warfare or the original titles, the point and click games, they own Bejeweled.
Yep.
Like it's a lame excuse to say we're evaluating this. Like, stop evaluating this platform. It's a success. It's sold almost as much as the Xbox One has since its launch in 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's here to stay. You got to make the right games for it. You don't have to break the bank in making full-fledged, like ginormous AAA games like you're making on the Xbox One. You have to be smart. And Ubisoft has proven it with games like Rabbids that you can be smart on this platform. And you could even go back and bring back a classic Madden game and update the roster and like play to the nostalgia of Nintendo fans. Like, there are all these things you could be doing.
Yeah.
This is a lame answer.
I know.
This is like they put Unravel on it, right?
And
that's it.
And that's what I meant,
FIFA.
right? Is that this isn't an answer for us. It's an answer to make sure that nobody who's buying their stocks is like freaking out about the fact that they're not selling Switch games.
Yep.
And you're right. They didn't invest early enough, whereas Bethesda came out swinging and said, hey, you know what, we're going to figure out how to put all these games on Switch, and we're going to keep releasing them on Switch. Whether they're, the best ports or not, they have the infrastructure that they have invested in to just get Wolfenstein Youngblood, on day and date on Switch.
Yep.
What's frustrating is that EA has a lot of history. If you go back to the early days of Electronic Arts games, they were the company that put out PC special editions in beautiful cases. They had the names of the designers on the boxes, right? They created this industry. Like, they were really good at giving people credit for, for the games that they made. And they have a lot of cool classics that are forgotten. I would love for them to play to their nostalgia or, invest in some unique, smaller projects for the Switch. No, come on, no more old freaking FIFA ports.
No.
Yeah, I mean it's just weird that that's the game that they decided to put there.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
if I may, really quick, there was also a report last week or something recently that said that FIFA's like fantasy team microtransactions now make more money than FIFA does. Like
What?
selling FIFA copies makes
Ultimate-
less money than
yes.
their microtransactions.
Ultimate Team is huge, of course.
So when you say, I don't understand why they're putting FIFA on there, I do.
Yeah.
Well,
No, we're upset. We're creatively upset.
Yes.
We're not saying it's a bad business decision to put
Yeah.
microtransactions into
Yeah.
everything. You
Yeah.
can make money, but what about your soul?
Casey, what else is going on in the world?
so funny that Pear mentioned Rabbids a couple of sentences ago because there's a Rabbids Nintendo Switch party game announced coming to China.
I give that transition a 7 out of 10.
Thank you.
Casey Way.
I think we'll give that game a 7 out of 10.
It has a Journey to the West theme, but we don't
Not
know
that
if it's
high.
coming here. They said it's tailored for the Chinese audience
Yep.
in China.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I'm
But
worried about this one.
I would totally be down for another Rabbids game on the Switch. I mean, Mario Party has kind of run its course. There's not enough content.
When Raving Rabbits first came out it was the Wii, right? It was cool because it let you play around with the controls. The characters were like that. Screaming was novel. Later releases of the Rabbids party games just didn't recapture that magic. I'm just really worried that we've moved past the age of the kind of like the party compilation.
Yeah.
Because we have Smash, we've got
Yeah.
Mario Kart. Like, do you really need these multi-game compilations?
I still buy.
You still buy
like the party. What is it? The Jack in the Box party packs.
Jackbox, yeah.
Jackbox party packs.
Those are great.
Yeah.
But those are also weird and different. And
It's still a party game.
We,
That's for casual players.
We created this concept on Up at Noon called the cone of indifference, which is essentially when you hear about something and then the more you hear about it, it cones down to nothingness. Like your excitement is this big up here, and then it gets so when you're like Ubisoft is making a brand new Rabbids game, your brain immediately is like, oh, Mario and Rabbids 2.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, it's a Rabbids game and it's a party game. And it focuses mostly on the Chinese market. And by the time you get down to here, there's just like this droplet of care
Well,
that's left.
Let's take that droplet of care and turn it into games that are out this week. Care about those. So someone on our Facebook group specifically asked about Forager. It's coming out on the 30th for $20. It's published by Humble Bundle, that's my disclaimer.
Our parent company also owns Humble Bundle.
Thank you. Tom, tell us
Yeah.
about Forager.
Forager is cool. Forager came out on PC a few months back, I feel like, something like that. It kind of is like if one of those cookie clicker style games was a real game.
Whoa.
So it's a lot of that sort of same thing of you're incrementally gathering resources that let you get more resources, that let you expand this little island that you're building on, and then you go and bigger and bigger. Very cute art style. The key thing here is that you're actually running around and you actually have like little quests and there's skill trees. So like if you really like doing the mining stuff, you can go down this like mining skill tree that gets you more stuff for that. Or and that unlocks new buildings for you to build. And it's a very simplistic art style. I can't really do a good job of describing it. But like, yeah, it's just very cute. And then you can go into dungeons too eventually.
It's like
and
a
there's
crafty, survival-y.
clicky, sort of all mixed in one. And it's not, to call it a clicker game is very misrepresentative. It just takes that similar vibe, right? Like it is not a idle clicker game. It's just that's kind of, you can tell that is in its DNA.
What's a similar clicker game? Like, what are you thinking of when you're describing it like this?
Well, so like the cookie clicker, hero clicker stuff is similar,
okay.
but it's like that. It's like the bones of that put into like Don't Starve, right? Where you're running around gathering resources and you're building up your base and going along. Like
Out of
that.
10 bow ties, what would you give it?
I don't know that scaled very well.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 bow ties. 10 is the best.
Oh, I don't know, like a 7 or an 8. I don't
Okay.
know. That's
Wow.
It's
Okay.
It's a cool game. It's
So
very
worth
fun game.
taking a look?
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth looking at. It might not be the type of game for everybody, but it's definitely a very cute, well-made, lovely little thing that there's not really a ton others like it.
Cool.
And we don't have a whole lot of time left, so I'm just going to go over these super quick. Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden Deluxe Edition. This is DLC, correct?
Well, the deluxe edition is actually it coming out on
Oh,
Switch.
all of
Yeah.
it coming on the Switch.
The whole
yes,
thing is coming out.
There was DLC that came out recently.
Seed
for
of
this game.
Evil just
Okay.
came out too.
Yeah.
And that's
Just
kind of
kidding.
like XCOM with animals.
Pretty
Cool.
much.
Yeah.
And stealth.
I think we should probably talk about next week. I think the pre-release code we got, there were some issues with it that they're patching.
Yeah.
I only played a couple of minutes. It's looking a little blurry. Hopefully, the final version isn't that.
And we'll talk about that next week. And also coming out this week on the 1st is Chroma Squad for $15.
Yeah.
And
Thomas, tell me about that. I'm into it.
It's like Cybon Power Rangers XCOM almost.
Yeah.
Power Rangers like
Okay.
top-down tactics game. It's really cool.
all right. Now, into the what you playing section because I want to talk to Pear about Fire Emblem because he wasn't here last week for it.
I've heard of that game.
We've heard of that game.
How many hours have you dropped?
I'm still like I'm under 10 because I was busy, but it was not. I begrudgingly stopped. I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's a pretty big departure from the series, actually. Not logically, like a lot of the elements and the things that you do, like that relationship building and, kind of really, really getting a feel and for your characters and loving and loathing them. That's always been in Fire Emblem. That's why permadeath was such a big deal, right? Like you didn't want to lose one of your squad members, whereas like in Advance Wars, it's okay that tank number 5 is gone, right? And they took that and they made it even bigger. And like just the core game, you're playing for over an hour before you get to the first battle, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Well, you get your tutorial battle like right
You
off
get
the
the
bat.
Right.
first battle.
You get a
in big
training
airports.
battle just to remind you that it's Fire Emblem, but it's like there's a lot of stuff added. I think I'm really impressed with how ambitious it is. I love the setup of the teachers and the students and all of that. Obviously, some cool stuff happens in the story, but it's really successful at making you think about characters and learn about them.
Justin Davis was telling me how he has to go and talk to everyone.
I'm a
Yeah.
when I see the ... I feel like the little speech bubbles. I feel like I have to talk to people.
have to.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't directly affect your game, I mean, it might just be one line of dialogue. But I'm the same way. I want to talk to literally everyone. I want everyone to be my friend. I want everyone to be on my team. I want to steal everyone's party. But I know I can't do that.
And it's funny, like you start off and like you talk to characters and there's a recruit option to recruit people from other houses. You have like no chance of recruiting anybody except, there may be some character affinities where like you're getting so used to being rejected, you might not try for some that actually might work in the very beginning.
I don't know. This is not a spoiler.
Just don't
If
say the
you're-
name of the character.
Okay, if you're a lady, if you're playing as a lady, Byleth, there's one character in the game who will join your class immediately.
Because he's a total horn dog.
Yep.
Yeah, basically. And
Not
so
expecting
there,
to hear the
is
word
not,
corn dog
this is not
today.
the same thing, but he won't do that if you're a guy.
yeah.
You have to work to earn his friendship.
So, but that like they really carefully constructed these characters, and if you're paying attention to how they talk and what they say, you can learn a lot about them. So, I started the game. My daughter played before me. I was traveling, as I was saying, and like she walked in. I'm talking to a character, and like your answers will get little hearts from them if you pick the right answer. Like you're playing to the character, and she'll walk by, and she's like, "Oh, that guy, he's like this and this and this. So when you answer, be sure to play to this and this and this." And like, sure enough, like he loved that answer. Whereas like the other two, he wouldn't have liked. It's like, you can really understand these characters and you'll start to know how to talk to them. And so you are either yourself and you answer what you would answer, or you go like, well, this is all about building relationships and socializing, and I'm going to give the guy the answer he wants to hear. It's really cool.
Are we sociopaths, Pear? Because that's
Yes.
what I do too.
Yeah.
In the game, not in real
Yeah.
life.
No, I want to build the best squad.
Yeah.
And so of course I want to make everybody happy as much as I can. Now, the weapons triangle is gone. If you played Fire Emblem games, usually it's like an axe can cut a spear in half, and so that used to be strong. And that kind of triangle spear sword axe is gone, which was, I can't lie, I was very disappointed about that. I was like, well, that changes the way I think about these strategy, the characters and the strategies and the classes. But then you start playing and you are starting to pay more attention to defense stats, or like whether you're weak to magic attacks. Like, you're thinking more about that and the individual powers of these characters. And so it took me a while to get over that. I'm still a little salty about it.
And well, as Brendan said in his review on the show last week, eventually, if you get a character's axe stat really high, then they'll get an ability that it makes them stronger against lances.
Right.
And so it's not that the triangle comes back entirely, but like you'll start to see things creep back in where you do have to think about, okay, this guy's got a lance, he's probably this and that.
Yeah, the playing field is not level to the point where, it's not strategic. It's a very strategic game still. So I started playing it on hard with permadeath. Like, the recommended level, I think, is normal, right? But it said experienced Fire Emblem players hard. It hasn't been that hard yet. I haven't really lost a character. But I'm sure it'll ramp up and get more and more complex, and so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm digging it. I only saw it on the big screen here before, and was a little disappointed with the graphics. But on the small screen, it looks really, really nice. Okay. It's a little like, lighting wise, these games could look better. They're very, and it doesn't run smoothly at all times, but. It's nice. It's a really quality game, and honestly, there's a surprising amount of content that you didn't expect in it. You're liking it, right?
I'm under 5 hours, so just take that. I've also been very busy, but from what I have played, I really liked it, and I didn't want to put it down.
Yeah.
Until I had to.
You playing in English or Japanese? Or?
Playing in English. I'm playing on normal mode, but classic, so with permadeath on.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure the difference if normal is normal and hard was hard, if normal was actually easy.
So you can go down from hard to normal. That's why. So it's
okay. So you can switch it later,
but you can't go back up once you do it. So I wanted to see whether they kind of made it a little bit more. I hate to use the term accessible, but whether they kind of brought down the difficulty a little bit. But
speaking of accessibility, the text
tiny
is so small.
I know. I feel like I need glasses.
And I already wear glasses, and
you need two glasses.
And I'm having to bring the Switch up to my face to read the text.
I wonder if this is some weird thing with the Switch, because Dragon Quest Builders 2 also
Same
just
thing.
has incredibly tiny.
I've been playing that too, and it's really hard to read. And the Switch Lite's coming out, and that's only going to get worse.
And I just wonder if maybe this is something where it's difficult to make it dynamically change between docked and undocked mode, and so they balance it to work on docked on a screen, and then they don't pay attention to what that then looks like, or can't change it when it's then in handheld.
I'm even having to lean in to look at my screen better.
Yeah,
but it's also really dense when you access stats for anything. There's just a lot of stats, a lot of different windows and stuff. But
I know that there is you can turn on zoom in the actual Switch settings and then zoom in to the screen, but that's kind of disruptive because you have to. It's not meant to be used with the game. It's an outside thing, so it's just. You can't interact with the screen while you're zoomed, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm really curious to hear just more fan feedback. Like, what do people think who started with Awakening, which is a fantastic game, and, are heading into a game that has this much stuff going on? And there's you can automate some stuff, right? Like, you don't have to manually assign everything. You can have the game manage some of that, but there's a lot to do in this game that is not traditional turn-based battles.
I also really love the meme potential, and I've already seen some grade A memes coming from this game, and it's my favorite thing.
Yeah. No, I'm digging it. I think this is a big release.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start it on my flight to Gamescom.
Do it.
Where there's no distractions, and I can just
try it out. Don't get bogged down in feeling like you have to do everything. Like, if you find yourself getting bored with something, like, some people don't like the kind of social aspect of it, just move on because you can. Like, the game accounts for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's everyone else playing?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot on Switch.
Yeah.
I'm playing that. I'm playing Fire Emblem. I'm still playing Dragon Quest Builders, and then I'm playing a bunch of
Builders is good. I started that.
Builders is very fun. I've put it down a little bit now that I have Fire Emblem, though. And then I'm playing lots of hunting games that are not on Switch right now.
Same.
I played
multiple hunting games.
So I resisted downloading the new Picross because I'm still playing S3. The weird anime one.
The one with Overlord.
Yeah, I resisted. I didn't install it yet. I bought the last anime one with the little animal women and little boys. Also,
excuse me?
Jupiter. I forgot what the French is. I'm sorry, anime fans. Like
I think
don't
that's
know
the name
this
of it. It's
one.
Animal Women and Little Boys.
Animal women and little boys, and it's
On
like
Crunchyroll.
the Jupiter Picross games are all good. So no matter what license they put on it, they're good. They're a little anemic when it comes to music and stuff, but they do have a lot of character art. So I'll eventually play it. But no, I played Power Rumi a bunch.
Yeah,
That's
we talked about that last week.
That's
Or we
the
mentioned it.
shooter. Did you get to play it a little bit?
I haven't played it yet. No.
So it's by Manufacture 43. Yeah, I think.
I played it a little bit.
A French developer from Bordeaux. It is basically Ikaruga, but one more step more complex
with a third element,
power.
essentially.
Yeah.
And it's very strategic. Like you have to play it a bunch to get the sense of the different things. Like you can choose between 3 different attacks, like a Gatling gun, laser, whatnot. And then either you deal double damage or you heal yourself or you charge your super attack. But it also depends on what color enemies you hit with the beams, like what the effect is. So you really have to think like a puzzle gamer as well as a shooting gamer because it's bullet hell too. So daunting, but really rewarding once you get into the groove. It almost becomes a rhythm game in a way.
Can you say the name of it again?
Pawarumi.
Pawarumi.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pawarumi. Yeah, so good game. Yeah, check that out.
You guys have time for one question for question
Yes,
block?
let's do it.
All right, let's play question block game. So from Harry Lazitis, I'm saying his last name right, Brian?
That's right.
All right, I did
What's up,
it.
Harry? How you doing, man?
Hey, Harry.
He asked a question on our Nintendo podcast forums on Facebook, and he says, Gen Con is this week. So which franchise do you wish would have a board game or card game inspired by that franchise? So far, we already have Horizon in the works, God of War, Fallout, Dark Souls, Shovel Knight, Ages of Mayhem, Borderlands.
Bloodborne.
There's a lot.
And for those of you who don't know, Gen Con is basically the E3 of tabletop games.
Comedy of Heroes coming to a bunch. What board game would we want?
Yeah, based on a franchise that's on the Nintendo Switch.
I would love like Town Builder Animal Crossing board game.
That sounds awesome.
Like
That is really good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of really good town builders out there that are like, I don't know this if you're getting into deep tabletop stuff or not, but like there are a lot of really good games that you start with a blank board and you kind of build it up, and you sometimes like you draft things. Like if you had a drafting town builder Animal Crossing game where you have to like draft villagers and like get your good villagers, like bring cool things to your towns, or like get certain types of fruit trees.
Wow,
like,
that's
combos
a good
into things.
idea. Yeah.
Man, I would love that game.
That's like you could do like a Machikoro type game
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
like with
Machikoro-
cards and
Machikoro is exactly
It's a
what I
great
was
board
thinking
game.
about.
If you don't have it,
I
please
don't
get it.
see us topping that idea. That was a really good one.
Animal.
Off the top
Well,
too,
think about it.
I
Like
don't know.
Mario Party is a board game, but it really lives off the mini games. So they could do something where you put an iPad in the middle, but Nintendo's not going to do that. Obviously,
They make you do challenges,
Yeah,
like
in
real life challenges, like say the ABCs backwards, which I couldn't do the last time I was playing a game that made me do that.
we were. That's
No.
that's not that fun.
You're right.
But
Right.
obviously Mario Party. Like if somebody could figure out a good board game version of that, like a really good one.
Well,
That could
just
be
play
cool.
any board game, and then whoever's in last place, tell him he's the winner at the end, and that's an official Mario Party board game.
It's like you just roll a D20. And
Yeah.
it's like you win.
I can just
I'm still salty
That's the
about
best
my
taste
old
the
Mario
salt
Party.
from here. Yeah.
Yeah, you could
Sorry,
absolutely do a Metroid Prime Hunters miniatures game with configurable dungeons with line of sight shooting and all of that kind of stuff.
With all those hunters like
Yeah.
Cylon, Pyrax.
Yeah, all our favorite characters. I know, look, but you want a 4-player co-op game. Obviously,
Everly.
everybody wants to be Samus, so maybe you're Blue Samus, Yellow
Dark Samus.
Yeah, Dark
Yeah.
Samus.
Oh, a Federation Force board game. I think people would love that. They'd love that.
No, they would not like that. But you could also do like a Star Wars miniatures Star Fox game with little ships,
That I like.
including everybody's favorite ship types, including the R-wing and. Okay, maybe not a good idea.
Corneria.
Yeah.
Lilac.
What's the big
Yeah.
the big one?
Yeah,
Lilac Cruiser.
yes.
That the
They-
Arwing
they're-
sleeps in.
I'm sorry, there are only 2 ships.
What's
and
the
then
house
there are
is-
bunch
That's,
of
that's the
Cruiser.
Corneria.
That's
Yeah.
the Corneria.
Well,
I
that's,
thought-
The Corneria is a planet.
Yes.
oh, I'm thinking of the Smash stage that is on the big ship.
yeah,
That's not
That's
the
in
ship.
Corneria.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the planet
That's
of
a
the
Corneria.
planet.
Lilac
Or
Cruiser.
maybe it's the city. The Lilac Cruiser, I think, is the.
I don't think anyone knows.
No,
Yeah.
so Lilat.
Don't test this on Star
Lilat
Fox.
Wars is the name of Star Fox in the UK, the original game. I'm not kidding. Yeah. The Star Fox, they couldn't get the trademark in the beginning.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a way
So
worse.
Lilat Wars, right?
Yeah.
UK people back me up here.
I
I think you can adapt a lot of Nintendo games pretty easily.
I would also be down for a Star Fox, like you were saying, like the X-wing miniatures. Yeah.
But there's just not enough ship types that
No,
you'll
but
care
they can
about.
make some cool ones up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really basic and just say I'd want a Slay the Spire deck builder.
You get out
With
of
another
here.
person. I mean, like I can then play Slay the Spire when I'm supposed to be socializing. I mean, that sounds
That's
great.
true.
We already have Fire Emblem and Zelda card games and all of that, so we don't need any of that stuff. But Zelda would be a good one for a board game too. Not a Monopoly, please. Worst
Don't they
game.
have that?
Yeah,
Yes,
they have
they
tons
have.
of those.
I have a Pokemon Monopoly still.
Yeah, no, there are lots of Monopolies.
And speaking of, I still have my copy of Pokemon Master Trainer, the board game.
We played that.
Yeah, we played that.
It was really fun.
Dude, oh man, can I tell you guys about this game really quick? It's a board game. This was Gen 2. I had Gen 1 when I was a kid, though, where there's a map that is the map of Pokemon, like the actual map with all the gyms and everything. And you get little counters that are like tokens that are like Pogs that are your Pokemon. And then as you go through the gyms, you like battle trainers and get badges and get more Pokemon. And the first person to win is whoever can get like 4 badges, because they had to truncate it, like 4 badges, and then get to the Elite Four and beat them. And it's like actually like it is the Pokemon video game condensed into a board game in a way that's like not going to win any awards, but like for kids was actually like a really solid board game.
I had fun playing
It's
it.
not
Like,
bad. It's
yeah.
fun.
Huh.
It's not like crazy, but it's fun.
I have this Mario Kart game where like you're racing little metal balls. Have you ever seen that one?
Really? No.
It's like a Mario Kart track from
Oh.
Japan. Yeah. And it's
sounds
like
cool.
two players can play, and each you have to hit these little. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine kind of thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of like weird vintage, like Milton Bradley style board games based on like Mario and Donkey Kong and
Yep.
stuff like that. And those are just like fun, goofy children's
Yeah,
games.
but modern tabletop games, it'd be cool if somebody did something like, if you played the Gears of War game, like somebody applied that to the Metroid universe.
Right,
That'd
right.
be freaking awesome.
You know, one of our video editors is working on a Mass Effect tabletop RPG, kind of like D&D, Mass Effect
Ooh,
theme,
that's cool.
which is not on the Nintendo Switch yet. Get working on that.
Like a bunch
EA.
of Borba to me.
I'm sticking.
They know
with,
they
That's Kirk.
don't care.
I'm sticking with Animal Crossing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in on Animal Crossing. Let's do it.
me too.
Slay the Spire. All right. So thank you everyone so much for watching. This has been NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. You can watch us every Thursday or listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform every Thursday at 3 p.m. Guys, where can they find you on Twitter?
You can
Ryan,
find me on Twitter at Agent Bizzle.
what about you, Per?
I'm just pair IGN, one
And
word.
Tom?
Tom R. Marks.
And you can find me on Twitter at ShinyKCD. Again, thank you so much for watching. And remember, this is the only place you can
Get the
Get
thing.
the thing.